Good evening and welcome to Thinking Re-envisioned. You're just seconds away from the unmatchable Henry G. Noel. Believe me, this is the tune-up your cognition has been waiting on. Here's Henry.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome. Catch this one, the fifth. We're still on one hand, man. This is the fifth episode of Thinking Re-envisioned, and my name is Henry G. Noel, and I'm your host. So I wish to thank you for joining me this evening and following good old Brian. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I want to say hi to Rita and to Mary. Thank you for joining us. Joseph, it's welcome. Great to have you here. I hope I did send you, by the way, that copy of the last night's script, so you do have that. And let's see, Rita, thank you. Candace, it's great to have you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're there. Marcia, it's great to see you. Maria, great. Thank you so much. It's good to have you here. I want to take a little bit of time to really talk to you for a little bit. So what we're going to do is just kick off this opening and get it going. Sarah, welcome to us. Thank you for joining us this evening. So I wanted to see that since the midterm elections are over, and now it's your turn to express what you really want. Maybe your people got in, maybe they didn't, but I would sure like to know what you kind of feel would be the great things that the things you desire. How would you like to see the government work and do the things that you would like to see them do? Hi, Alice. Welcome this evening. Thank you for joining us. But anyway, just to let you know, to get the people in, well, first of all, we're broadcasting live on IPMNation.com and Thinking Re-envisioned's Facebook and YouTube pages. And I wanted to thank all the listeners all over the globe who tune in on live radio, and those that listen to our rebroadcasts, and you guys, the ones sitting here with the fly on the wall video, thank you so much for joining in with us. I really wanted to again go through and get you guys to start thinking about the things that you really would love to see happen with the government, or see what they could do and work together on. I wanted to go ahead and say thank you to our two new actually countries that people are starting to listen to us from. The United Arab Emirates and Brazil joined us this evening, so I thank you for that too. It is really great to have you guys listening in. So Thinking Re-envisioned is here to provide a natural healing process. Actually, you know what? Let's just talk. Let's see what we got going. I had gone through and listened to a few of these rebroadcasts, and when I say this stuff is going to be heady, I really want it to be enlightening and stimulating. And when I got done listening to it, I think I had to have Rita wake me up, because it's even though it is stuff that's important, it's the data. The data is very important that to get out. It's finding a better way to actually do it. And so that's the thing. I'm going to start asking you guys for some encouragement or some suggestions as to what you think would be the best way to go about doing things, because the information is really heavy, and it really is so much, and it's convoluted. So I'm going to try to break things down into really just single things, because for 25 minutes, it's really hard to try to get deep into stuff, because then I'm not paying attention to anybody that's really what they're saying, and I'm missing the questions that you guys are asking. So what I really wanted to do was to really establish it to where we're talking about stuff. Maybe it's still heavy, but not as convoluted and confusing as it is. I mean, I got done and it was like staring. I thought I was a deer staring into headlights. It is pretty tough to go through and sit through those lectures. And that's not what I want. I didn't want to have lectures. So I really want to see things go a bit smoother and a little bit better. So if you guys got any suggestions, let me know. So Mary says that she goes, I want the government to be extremely small and not get paid for benefits. Hey, I'm with you. I totally get that, Mary. I mean, there was a interview that the magazine down here did with me. And the question to me was, if I were president of the United States, what would be the first thing I'd do? And my response was, I'd eliminate the government. And I said that. And the reason I said that was because I said, if we can't determine what's right from wrong, if we can't sit down and monitor ourselves, we can't control ourselves, then we're really in trouble. And having the government isn't the answer, because they're in trouble too. And then I said, the second thing I'd do would be to eliminate all pay for all of Congress, and Congress and the Senate, because I mean, let's face it, they 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 get enough money from the companies that are supporting them. So it's ridiculous, and all the benefits, and then the protection, and the lifetime of insurance, and I'm sorry, we don't get any of that, and I don't think anybody in government should get anything more than we do. And on top of that, I just don't believe that it's a paid position. I mean, it should be just, you work in your community, you have your business, whatever that business was. It used to be a shop owner, or it was the banker, or some lawyer, and he was elected by the people and sent to Washington for a couple of weeks out of the year to deal with business, the federal business, and then they came back and they worked their jobs. What happened? I mean, that's all gone. They don't do that anymore. And so I would love to see that come back and get back to a reasonable thing, instead of them coming in and making a fortune from the money that they're collecting from the people that put them in office. So anyway, yes, I'm right with you, Mary. I totally agree with you. I would love to see that happen. So anyway, thank you. There you go. There's the first one. Candace says, I have often thought, who would want that job? All the BS and family suffering. I'm wondering. Yeah, Joseph says it's a career choice now, and it really is, and they're paid the rest of their lives. I mean, they make their salaries the rest of their lives, my jobs never did that. I mean, goodness, I know my brothers never did that. So it's really a cush job, and of course that gets to the going to their heads, and of course then we have the disruptions in families, we have the cheating, we have the corruption, we have all of this other stuff that all of that leads to. So it is really interesting that's the way it goes. But yeah, sitting down here in South America and watching the elections go through, the Rita says it's money, 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 and and it was amazing to see it. It really was, to just watch it, to see and how involved everybody is in this. Wow. I mean, it's just amazing. It's like if somebody won an election, and they're now like God. And it's sort of scary that's what the way it's perceived, that these people now are viewed as power, 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 power. And now we cow down to these people. It's just amazing. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to deal with something in the government, I mean, I would love to see it get back to really where the job of being a representative from my local community, or your local community, mine is a long way away, but to be a representative of the community was seen as an honor. It didn't get paid. Yeah, we'll pay your way there, we'll pay your way back in 2 or 3 weeks. But this full-time job of where this switched, I have no idea. But no way could the government have gotten that complicated, except it wanted to, and that's the way it designed itself to go do. So those are the things that I really wanted to see what you guys felt about it. What was spent on the campaigns? No, actually, I hadn't seen the figure, Candace, on how much was spent on the campaigns. It would be really interesting to see. Yes, Marie, you're absolutely right. Having power is an addiction, and it really is. Once they get the power, they don't want to let it go, and they're in it for the rest of their lives. And what's scary, though, it's, we keep talking about, implementing term limits. We have term limits. It's called the vote. But people are so into, I guess maybe, I don't know. I guess some of the people that are in there do a good job. I have to say that. Maybe some of them do. But on top of all of that there's a lot of them that do a real crappy job. And they're just in it for the power and the money, and they've got themselves. I mean, let's say, I don't even know what the salary is anymore for them. I remember when it was 150,000, and now it's probably up over 200,000. But even that, they're in. You're in Congress for 4 years, making, let's say, $200,000. You're in Senate for 6 years, making, let's say, $250,000 a year, and they walk out with hundreds of millions of dollars. And I've tried to do the math, and there's just no way I can seem to make $200,000 a year in 4 years add up to hundreds of millions of dollars. It just doesn't do it. My calculator doesn't work that way. And so maybe my calculator is broken and I'm just totally misled by all of this, but it just seems sort of sad that that much money is going to politicians, and instead of going to where it's really needed, to the people. So I don't get it. Let's see. Joseph says it's Team D or Team R here, to no middle ground or common sense. And you're right. And I've every once in a while you'll see an I, which is independent, I guess. But the two parties have held the control of the minor parties so well, and I don't think Ecuador is much different than that. I mean, Ecuador has probably 16 different political parties here that all they do pull a lot of votes. But there are one that's the main party, which is here they call it the Alliance Party. That's their main party, and then there's a whole bunch of others that are there that represent it, and some of them are pretty strong. So but 16, at least 16, as far as I could count the last time. There are a tremendous number of parties here, and they are all very well respected. I'll say maybe by themselves, but I think the people do tend to look at it as that they are representing the people in some form or fashion. But in the U.S., you have two parties, and you're in it or you're out of it. Us and them. Perfect example of the us and them that we've talked about in the past. This characterization, this categorization, rather, the social categorization. Us and them. If you're not with us, then you're against us. I mean, that's it. And that's what's really so hard. So I wonder what do you think would be required by the government to change? What would it take for the government to actually think of what would it take to make the government of the people, by the people, and for the people again? Is it even possible? I question that, because I'm away from that, in that I live in South America. But the bottom line is what happened to the people, by the people, and for the people? I mean, I think that is long since gone, and it's by the company, for the company, and or maybe it's by the company, for the politician. And it's I'm really not sure how it goes. John, I know you got to have an opinion on this, so it's welcome tonight. So yeah, I was just asking the general question as to what, now that the elections are over, what would you like to see? What would you like to see from the government? They're talking about holding hands, and they're talking about reaching across the aisle and unity, and I have never seen them do that anyway. It's all that placating stuff that they talk about. But Joseph says it's a fixed game. Example, in Pennsylvania, to run for governor, the Dems, the D's and the R's need 10,000 signatures. Any other party needs 19,500. Really? Well, that's very interesting. Wow, I didn't know that. So, hey, Barth, how are you? Well, welcome. I didn't even see you. Come on, all of a sudden, there you are. Remove corporate dollars. Absolutely right. I know they've tried that in the past, and it's never worked, of course, because they want the corporate dollars. And I know they set limits and all that sort of stuff, which, of course, is just simply gives them another creative way of getting more than what they're allowed to do. I'm looking at it as it's almost like the immigration policy. It's broken and requires major fixing, and sometimes you just simply can't even fix it. It just needs to be dumped and a whole new system brought in. And I'm wondering if that is the situation now with immigration, with all of the problems that it's causing. But maybe that's one of the things to do, Barth, is to remove corporate dollars. Is it just simply the whole election policies need to be revamped, completely stripped and just gotten rid of, because it just doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't work. And so I'm kind of curious if that may be one of the things. It's in So like I said, we're sitting on the sidelines and watching to see the election results come in, and and it's very interesting to see how the the actions are. If you're in the in group, okay? So whether it's a D or an R, you're in the in group. The person that you have been supporting, gets the nod that yes, they are in the lead. They are going to probably win this, and so the pandemonium that goes on with this, this whole election thing, um, it is the hype, and I believe it's that emotional need, that requirement, that they need that emotional input to I won't I guess vindicate or to support the whole concept behind everything. Excuse me. And so you have a system that is corrupt, it's broken. You have a process that is corrupt and broken. You have no one on the inside where the control to fix this is that wants to fix it because they like what they've got. I mean, why not? Why not? Just as the founders in the U.S. incorporated a way to deal with it, the 10th Amendment. People are afraid to lose something. Aha, there you go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me again. But yes, I think you're right. And I there's where I really question this whole concept, this whole process. So again, I being on the sidelines, I don't have that input as most people don't. You have your vote, and that's about all we get out of it. And of course, it mostly goes to electorates that are the ones making all these decisions. So I just find it it's a very interesting system, and I think had originally been set up to function reasonably. But boy, does it not work now. I mean, oh my gosh, it's a mess. The whole thing is a mess. And it's sad to see. It really is. So what would be, okay, so we eliminate corporate dollars. So we know that now the elections, instead of running into billions of dollars, and we're now back down to somewhat in the low millions of dollars to try to do, because now you got to deal on getting elected by your constituents, which are the people that live in the village, the town, the township, the community, the county within which you live. And of course, if it's a state like this is, where it's a federal position, then of course you've got your entire state that you're campaigning over. And yeah, you got to put the bill. I mean, you got to pay for that election. I think that would be an interesting. Well, it'd probably stop a lot of people from getting in. That's for sure. And it might stop both good and bad people from getting in. It's hard to say. It certainly wouldn't be it wouldn't be the ones that are there now, I don't think. That's for sure. John says, we need to send everyone currently in office home. Yes. And call a constitutional convention. And do a huge overhaul on the entire social structure. Now, I'm not going to argue, John. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And really take a good look and get the states to pull the federal government back under control. You're right. It's the only way that you can get back to of the people, by the people, for the people is going through the Constitutional Convention. And if I recall right, I don't think we've ever had one after the original ones. I think we just kind of plod along and let them continue to do the things. So it's very interesting. McKenna says, I think that people fear what could happen, so they pick a side. Yes, and I agree with you. I think that there are the issues there that are going on that we don't understand them. We've lost touch. I mean, for a long time. I mean, when you really look through the 60s, the 70s, the war in Vietnam was going on. People were very wrapped up in all of that, and I think we lost sight of the control and the power and the Lyndon Johnsons and the garbage that had gone on with Kennedy, and then Nixon comes in and really has a field day. And this has gone on and on and on, and not just the people that are president. And I'm not going to just pick on the presidents, but the people that are the chief of staffs. The guys the guys that have wielded a tremendous amount of power, that have all been tied to the CIA or to the other organizations within the government. Dick Cheney, for example. So it's interesting to see how the power shift has really gone in, and as the power increases, the control of the people go away, the concern of the people seems to go away, and even the caring about what the heck happens to the people goes away. So yes, I think there's a lot that needs to be done and a lot needs to be fixed, and I think it's up to the states to really pull it in together and say, wait a minute, this is our country, and we are the ones that represent this country, not the people in Washington. We do. You're there because we put you there. So I think it is time to take a real solid look at stuff like that. So anyway, again, let's see. Just says direct pushback to federal law. Yes, states' rights. I totally agree, and I really believe that that's where the power is, and that's where it should be. And I think a lot of that would go away. Now, granted, the states tend to have had a history of not getting along with each other and bickering back and forth, but I think that's where the people have to stand up and really start pushing their rights, what they want. Yeah, Mary, I agree. There's a lot of common ground on this. How can you? There's just no way to argue with this because it's so blatant that the system doesn't work now, and the only way to do something with it is it's got to change, and it's just the gravity, the level, or the how drastic a change that we want to go put it through, and so that's really the things that have to be decided on. Yeah, you have to educate yourself. Joseph, absolutely right. You have to educate yourself because the parties don't like to share. They don't. It is us and them. I mean, it is a prime things of what I've talked about in over the past couple of weeks. It is the prime social categorization that we're dealing with. It's us and them, and the problem is not only is it us and them between the D's and the R's, it's between the D's plus the R's. It's the people, the citizens have become the thems. And so it's really, really, really tough. Candace says, I truly believe they want us divided. Oh, absolutely. Everything that is being done is to divide us. John says, we've neglected our right to address our grievances. Absolutely. And I think a large part of that is the apathy. I mean, even in this election, I think, what was it, 40, and correct me if I'm wrong, about 47% went to the polls. And just drop it on the line if you can. I know here in Ecuador, it's 100% voting, 100% voting. I mean, everybody votes here. I mean, they take their politics extremely serious. And so here we had a midterm election. We shifted the power in Congress from the R to the D's, and it was 47%. Let's see, and yeah, and I think that's I think I'm right on that. Donna, welcome. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here. Barth says, talk to your accomplishments, not your opponent's faults. True or false? During ads, I no, absolutely. I think that is this bashing is that's part of what I've mentioned in the lead-in when I was talking on Brian's show. We've gone from backstabbing to euphemisms. We've toned it down now. Now we don't have to be so vicious. If people can't stand on their own merits and convince other people that they are worth it, then they don't need to be there. And that's the hardest part of all of this. But the ego won't allow them to not do that. So then they go for the juggler. They try to find all the dirt. And if they can't find dirt, I know that they have done the false flags on things like that, where they have simply created dirt. Just put a lie out there, and the lie will run rampant on social media. And the next 3 months, the person who has that thrown at them, they're simply trying to explain all that away. They can't even present what they've done, what they believe, because they're too busy defending themselves. And that's the dirty game in politics. That's exactly where they've gone. But yes, yep, Rita, you're absolutely right. To keep the people divided is the biggest distraction that we have. Joseph says the consent of the governor of the governed. Be responsible. Absolutely, Mary. Yes, I was getting so sick of hearing "vote for me." The other guy's a jerk. Yep, it's oh man. And the media is terrible, and I think that's the biggest problem we have here. In my last minute here that I've got, media. The media is so biased and so controlled, and they're fighting for their own lives in trying to do what they can to be in the forefront, to make themselves look important. And every time I say that, I picture that guy from the Weather Channel that was faking the force of the wind with the people walking behind him, and he got caught on camera. Exaggeration, you know what I mean, of the seriousness of it. That's what media does. I mean, this is the game that they play. So they are, if not as guilty, they are more guilty because they're the ones that give us the information. And so investigative reporting does not exist. There are no such things as investigative reporters. They are celebrities. That's what they are, with their nice hairdos and their pretty clothes and all the nice makeup, and it's really sad that that's the direction that the news agencies have gone. It's really sad. So anyway, my brother popped on there. He says, when you listen or watch today's news media, just stop and think about this for a moment. Following the Nazi seizure of power in 1933, Hitler established a Reich Ministry for Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, and that's absolutely true. They did, headed by Joseph Goebbels. That's you're right. The ministry's aim was to ensure that the Nazi message was successfully communicated through art, music, theater, films, books, radio, educational materials, and the press. Well, guess what they're doing? Guess what we're doing? Look what the country's doing. Following exactly the same doctrine as Hitler's Mein Kampf predicted and says. So it is there. So anyway, I'm getting ready to run over. So I guess I'm getting the nod from my brother. Yeah, they're calling the races. We're wrong again. I just get tired of it. I totally, Candace, I get you. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Tomorrow it's going to be, it's free for all Thursday. So it'll be your subjects, what you want to talk about. And we'll do that. And we'll address that tomorrow, if that's okay. So with that, I will bid you good night. Thank you so very much. And hasta luego. Hasta mañana. Take care. Have a great evening.